Hello FlossTube, this is Veronica with Night Stitch, and this is going to be my 2025 WIP parade. So today is December 16th, 2025, and it's Tuesday. I'm going to try to film my WIP parade in different parts, but I am going to put it all in one video. I just wanted to film it on different days so that I can, I don't know. I just wanted to separate it out. Anyway, it doesn't matter to you guys, but yeah. So I have my fabric bin over here that has a lot of my projects that I put in those big project bags. So I'm going to go through this bin today, and then I'll film another one later. But I'm going to post this kind of towards the end of the year. So a lot of the projects will have extra stitches on it because I'm going to be working on some of these as the year closes out. So yeah, I guess that's more for me to know as well because it doesn't really matter. But I'm just saying that the WIP parade is going to be filmed before updates on Thursday, so it might be like you traveled back in time when you see the WIP parade, because I may have done more work on certain projects in the meantime, and then when the WIP parade posts, it'll be that I hadn't put the stitches in yet. So it'll kind of be like a fun time travel thing for you, I guess. So I'm gonna start. I'm just gonna pull, and whatever comes out, I'll talk about it. I gotta put this away. This is Paris. This is a kit by Riolis. It comes with Aida that's got a border printed around it, and it's 14 count Aida. And it has anchor floss. And the floss comes on these cards with numbers on them. And I've been using floss drops. So this is a card that I punched holes in. It's Avengers cards, and I just strung one strand of the color on here, so I just pull it as I need it, and I don't take the whole thing and put it on. I did that with Visit London. I don't know why, but that's another one of my kits. But pulling them just one strand as I need them is actually easier. I don't know why I didn't do that, but so I'm using the anchor floss, and this kit has some half stitch and full cross stitch, and I don't think it has any back stitch, and it sometimes uses 2 strands and sometimes uses 3 strands. So I'm just following the kit instructions for when I stitch it. So this is what I have so far, and I have some stats here I can show you. So I started this on May 3rd, 2018. And as of now, in my old notes, the last day I worked on it was April 30th, 2025. But I know I've worked on it recently in December, but I'm just going to ignore that for now, and I'll just tell you these old stats. So according to that, I've worked on it for 23 days in 2025. And I put in 4,193 stitches. And it's at 11.50% done. This is Taste of Europe. This is a free pattern from DMC, and DMC has free patterns on their website that you can download. I put all of these icons in a different order because DMC just had them. Like, it's kind of like a sampler. It's just little icons that remind people of Europe. So this is done on Glowing Dreams by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And I charted it in DMC. And I used some DMC Diamond Metallic as well. Otherwise it's just regular floss. And I charted most of it 2/2. But I did chart this little guy. His skin I did 1/1 because I like doing that on my people that I do if I do like little characters. I don't know that I charted it that way, but I always stitch that way, so I just do that. So this is the way that I rearranged some of the icons, and so far I have Big Ben, a suitcase, a double-decker bus, the Moulin Rouge, Vatican City, and a gondolier, and the Eiffel Tower. So I don't know when I started this, but the last time I worked on it was March 5th, 2025, and I worked on it for 3 days in 2025. So it has 1,857 stitches in it, and it's at 14.53% done. And when I chart things, I have the luxury of knowing how many stitches are in it, even if it's not full coverage. Because when it's full coverage, you can just multiply the width times the height and you get the number of stitches. But when you don't have full coverage, some of the stitches are like blank. So if you do the length times the width, you'll get what it would be if it was all covered. But the stats are more accurate that way if you when I use my program, because it only counts like what I've charted in there, so it doesn't count the blank spots. So and for the WIP period, I'm not gonna say how long and how wide it is, because there's other things that I'm saying so that it takes longer if I try to say everything. But I'm also going to try to say like what floss I use, because I don't say that in my updates. Alright, what do we have? What do we have? We have this. This is a project bag that I made from an old Pioneer shirt, because I used to work for DuPont. I did a temporary construction job with them. I set up a Farm Expo tent in one of the towns near me, and this fabric is something I bought from the store, and so is the coffee. I haven't seen this project in a while. Well, this is the fabric. It's 1/2 yard of 25 count Lugana, and it's navy colored, and I got it off 1, 2, 3 stitch, and it's Zweigart, and I started in the middle, and that's what I have. And the blue turns my camera yellow, so that'll happen, that's normal. Okay, so man, I really like this. Why do I not work on this? It's because I have a shaker, and the shaker pulls random things, that's why. So I started this on December 20. Oh, this is an oldies but goodies pattern by Heaven and Earth Designs. And I forget who the designer is. I think it's Mary something. Yeah, it's Mary Thompson. So that's the artist. I started it on December 24th, 2024. The last time I worked on it was January 28th, 2025. I worked on it for 6 days and I put in 739 stitches. So it's at 0.24% done. I don't know why out of all the times I used the shaker to pull full coverage, this project never got pulled. I know I wrote it down and I put it in the thing for the shaker, so... But really, since January, it's never been pulled. Like, come on. Okay, this one is House Targaryen. This is a project bag from Maggie's Minders on Etsy. And this is a house banner by Lolita Maid, but she's not selling it anymore because her shop is closed. Oh, the Heaven and Earth design, I was using DMC. 2/1 full cross on 25 count. So this one, I'm using DMC and DMC Diamond, which is the gold shiny stuff. And then I'm using one of the DMC, no, two of the DMC, like, variegated colors for the fire and blood, the words here. So I just looked in my stats. Apparently I have not worked on this at all in 2025. So just get a good look at it, I guess. I don't have anything to say about it. I'll get the fabric tag out in a minute. I realized I didn't say that either. Welcome to the Discombobulated Night Stitch WIP Parade, where everything I do is extremely disorganized yet extremely beautiful. So enjoy. That fabric is called Amazing Grays. It's 32 count Lugana by Fiberlicious. I know why I didn't work on this. It's because this was a WIP Go project and I kind of fell off the WIP Go wagon this year. And my fabric tag is on the carpet. God. And now my chair doesn't want to cooperate. I'm leaving that in. I hope you enjoyed. Okay, next. This is just a bag I got from Hobby Lobby that I bought. It's like a set of like vinyl bags. This is Legendary Creatures Alphabet. This is one of the few fabrics that I have that is not from Fiberlicious. Krynic is on the floor. Give me a minute. Look at that. Sparkly. Isn't it cool? It's red, black, sparkly. Okay, so this fabric is from Ship's Manor, and it is called Abracadabra, and it's 32 count Lugana. And this was one of the first sales that I signed up for, and I decided I wanted to use the fabric that was recommended, so that's what I did. And that's what I have. This is an alphabet of little mythical creatures. And I started this on April 28th, 2018. The last time I worked on it was January 6th, 2025. I worked on it for 11 days and I put in 30,959 stitches total. Not in 11 days, obviously, but that's the estimate of how many are in there right now. And it's 52.21% complete, approximately, because it's not full coverage. But I like having statistics for myself to kind of see about where I am percentage-wise. Because I tend to work on things for many, many years, and so when the percentages start to get to a certain amount, then I can kind of be like, okay, this one, maybe I can try to focus on it more because it's getting to the point where it's like got so much on it that maybe it can be done or like worked on more so that it's closer to being done. That kind of thing. That's why I do that, even though it's not exact. And honestly, I think I'm the only one that really cares that it's exact or not exact. So when I say that stuff, it's just me like self-soothing my own insecurities about stuff I say about stitch count. So it is what I do. So this is a Heaven and Earth design. This used to be a free pattern. It's a crop of the Queen of the Nile. I think that's what it's called. By Jan Patrick Krasny. And this is a piece of 25 count country vintage mocha, vintage country mocha. It's been a while, I forget which order it goes in. I think it's vintage country mocha. I'm doing it. So the Legendary Creatures alphabet, I'm using DMC and Weeks Dye Works because that's what was called for, and then I was using that red Krynic I showed you just to give it a little sparkle. That was my own addition. This I'm using DMC. I'm using 2 strands over 1 full cross, 25 count. And I started this on March 5th, 2018. The last time I worked on this was February 19th, 2025. I worked on it for 5 days this year. There are 5,480 stitches in it, and it has 5.03% of it done. Oh, this is a pattern I haven't started yet, but since it's in here, this is Crystal Symphony by Mirabilia. And this fabric is called Euphoria by Fiberlicious. I got 32 count Belfast because I wanted the colors to show really spectacularly, and linen does that better than Lugana, so I got linen for this. And she is like this. I'm gonna put it so this is in the upper, so she'll be facing this way. Nope, she's facing the other way. No, I'm right. It's the camera's, you know, when you look in the mirror, everything's reversed. Yeah, she's gonna face this way. And so like her dress and everything will go down into the blue, which will work fine because her dress is white. So yeah. But I apparently have that in my WIP bin because I wanted to start it feel like I'm gonna have to figure out a different way to do new starts, because I have this thing where I have a lot of WIPs and I feel like I want to get the WIP count down a little bit because my bin is pretty full and I don't know that I can stick another project bag in there because it's like doesn't have any room. So yeah, so I have to finish something so I can make space, but then I also love starting things, so I don't know how I'm gonna figure that out. But so this is the world's postage stamp. This is by Soda Stitch, and I got the physical copy, and I'm doing it this long form. And this is MCG Textiles Even Weave 28 count. I dyed this myself with some acrylic paint and some tie-dye. So I like diluted the paint so that it wouldn't be thick so that I could stitch. So I started in the middle with Sydney and I got Sydney done. And then I did Bali. So Bali is done. And then the thing that isn't done up here is Paris. So I'm using DMC, and then I think before I started like getting a lot of DMC, like buying the colors I didn't have, I kind of used some scrap floss that I had. So this is kind of like it doesn't have a pattern, but it's a gradient because I was just using whatever green I had because I didn't have this color, so I used whatever extra thing I had to do that. So that's why those greens are all different. So I don't know when I started this, but I worked on it. The last day I worked on it was April 10th, 2025. I worked on it for 5 days this year. I put in, it has 4,502 stitches in it, and it's at 12.35% complete. And I'm using 2/2, or I'm doing it 2/2. This is Fall Sweet Fall by the Calico Confectionery, and I'm using Albus fabric by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And for this one, I'm using just a bunch of scrap floss. So I have some DMC, I have Sullivan's, I have a Fiberlicious silk in there. I've got Classic Colorworks, some Iris floss, which is Artiste floss from Hobby Lobby. And I did that because this pattern is very simple, and I wanted to use some of the floss that I have that is like just not DMC. Because I don't know what else to use it for, and so I thought if I just converted the pattern to those colors, and I stuck to like if the thing was brown on the pattern, then I picked a brown that would work, that kind of thing. So that is what I have. So I started this on January 6th, 2025. The last day I worked on it was April 29th, 2025. I worked on it for 5 days this year. I put in 819 stitches, and it's at 12.70% done. And I'm stitching that 2/2. What is this? This is Mirabilia. This is Portrait of Me. Just kidding, Portrait of Veronica, but I'm going to change her hair to blonde, so it'll be Portrait of Me. I'm using Monster Mash by Picture This Plus. It's 32 count Lugana. There's some Krynic in here and DMC. That's what I have. Back of her dress and starting her arm. I don't know when I started this. The last day I worked on it was April 5th, 2025. I worked on it for 6 days this year. It has 2,610 stitches in it. It's at 5.06% done. And I'm doing that 2/2, and her arm I'm doing 1/1. This next one is a kit by Janlin. It's his cross. I am using Under the Sea Fabrics Naiad. It's 32 count Lugana, and I'm not using the kit fabric, but I am using the kit floss. So this is how it came. It came like this where it wasn't tied on, but when I used it I tied on like this. So, and for this one I used bobbins to pull a length of thread. Like I would cut off 36 inches and then it would be like 6 strands, and then I'd pull one, and then I'd put the 5 strands that were left on the bobbin like I do when I use my regular bobbins. So this has got half stitches, quarter stitches, back stitch, so I'm just doing whatever the kit instructions say. I have a lot of parked threads because I was like counting over and trying to make sure I didn't mess up, so I just ended up stitching stuff in, and that way I definitely won't mess up. So I started this on September 24th, 2024. The last time I worked on it was February 15th, 2025. I worked on this for 6 days this year. Yeah, that's right. Okay. There's 1,750 stitches in it, and it's at 11.39%. And the sash, you'll notice, is blue instead of khaki colored, cream colored. I decided to use a Classic Colorworks color to stitch the sash because I wanted it to be blue like they have in pictures sometimes. When Jesus left his sash, it was light blue, so I wanted it to be that color instead. What's next? This is Visit London. This is a kit by Mileshka. And this is the one where I put all the floss on the floss card, which I don't think I was supposed to do, but that's what I did anyway. Live, you learn, and then I'm again using the floss cards to like pull one bunch of 6 strands and then put that on there. Because I had been winding it around here when I should have left the full thing on here and then pulled from it and then put it on the floss card, but I apparently did it the hard way, but this was like the first kit that I did where I had those bobbins, like these big bobbins, and so I didn't quite know how to use them, so that was a learning experience, but here we are. So I'm not using the kit or fabric. This is Rose Taupe by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. I am using the kit Floss though. Using half of this because it fits on half of it, because it's only 5x7. So I started it on October 10th, 2024. The last day I worked on it was May 28th, 2025. I worked on it for 14 days this year, and it has 2,877 stitches in it. It's at 20.55% done. And this one has half stitch and full stitch, so I'm just doing what the pattern says. And this one uses DMC. This is my project bag from Pop-Up Stitcher. This is Cozy Cafe by Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. I'm using April Showers by Fiberlicious. It's 28 count Opal Lugana. I used to get 28 count Opal Lugana from Fiberlicious for Fabric of the Month, but I stopped doing that, so now my old pieces have 28 count Opal Lugana, and I'm not used to saying it anymore, but that's what I have. I started this on January 18th, 2025. Last time I worked on it was May 9th, 2025. I worked on it for 9 days this year. I put in 1,074 stitches, and it's at 4.92% done. And this one I have substituted one of the silks from Mo's Sale. And the rest of it I'm using DMC. And that one is 2/2. This is Sea to Shining Sea. This is by Pickle Barrel Designs. I'm using April Showers Bring May Flowers by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And I'm using Classic Colorworks and DMC. Yeah, that's what I have. I started this on June 1st, 2025. The last time I worked on it was June 3rd, 2025. I worked on it for 3 days this year. I put in 404 stitches, so it's at 2.84% done. This is Group Therapy. This is a kit by Dimensions. It's a small kit. It's 5x7. I am not using the kit fabric. This is Veil of the Night by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. I am using the kit Floss, so it's Dimensions Floss. That's what I have. I started this on June 3rd, 2024. Last time I worked on it was July 30th, 2025. I worked on it for 10 days this year. I put in 1,469 stitches. It's at 21.41%. Completed. This is Museum Shelf. This is by Amy Stewart, and it's a Heaven and Earth design. This fabric is either Wicked Night or Stormy Night. I don't remember which because they're very similar. I think one is gray and one is white with gray. So this is the one that's more gray. It's a half a yard. So this one I started on May 5th, 2018. The last time I worked on it was July 29th, 2025. I worked on it for 19 days this year. It has 2,557 stitches in it. It's at 0.64% done. That one is DMC. It is 2/1 full cross 25 count. It's like I'm good at saying the fabric, but I'm not good at saying like how I stitched. Yeah, the dimensions kit, I'm just doing whatever the directions say, and then the Sea to Shining Sea is 2/2 full cross. This one is Batman. I'm using I always get that wrong. Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. The color is Storm. It's 32 count Lugana. This is 2/2 full cross with DMC. Except for his mouth is 1/1. So I started this on May 2nd, 2018. The last time I worked on it was July 30th, 2025. I worked on it for 9 days this year. I put in 7,029 stitches and it's at 31.90% done. And the reason I don't say the floss and the how I'm stitching it every week is because I forget. So like in the WIP parade, I'm like, this is my one chance to actually say all of that. I may have to put this in a sheet protector because it was starting to stick to the vinyl. So this is Mystic Stitch, Rosie the Riveter. This is Sea Flame by Fiberlicious. It's 36 count Edinburgh. And I am doing this 2/2, so it's 18 count. And I wanted it to be 18 count, but I don't like Ada, so I got Edinburgh instead. So I started this on August 7th, 2024. The last time I worked on it was April 9th, 2025. I worked on it for 14 days this year. It has 1,994 stitches in it. It's at 3.75% done. And I'm using DMC. I'll cut this part out, but I'm going to go get a sheet protector. I'll be right back. This next one is Mill Hill Town Square. It's a buttons and beads kit. I have that. So I started this on April 25th, 2025. The last time I worked on it was July 11th, 2025. I worked on it for 5 days this year. I put in 590 stitches and it's at 11.38% done. And this is how I'm storing the floss. These are acrylic floss cards that you can write on. Floss cards. It's a floss palette. I got them off Etsy from somebody in Michigan. It's GW Stitchin' Depot. And she makes acrylic floss storage things. So you can write on them with Sharpie, and then when you want to erase it, you just write over them with Sharpie and then or dry erase marker, and then it erases. This is a kit from Hirschner's. It's plastic canvas, kitchen ornaments. The Mill Hill is perforated paper, 14 count, and then it's DMC, and it's just 1 over one of the squares. Same thing with this. It's plastic canvas. It's 14 count, and it's each little set of 4 is 1x, so it's just 1 over. Well, it's this one I think uses 3 strands of whatever floss it is. It's Craftworks floss. But I don't actually have statistics for this because this time when I went to the craft retreat, I didn't take my stitch counter, so anything that I stitched there, I didn't really count stitches because I kind of wanted to just stitch and not deal with that. So yeah, this is the KitchenAid mixer. What is this? Oh, this is another one that was on the WIP Go board, so it's Pinoy Stitches Soar Today, and I'm doing it on Oh My Moose by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And this is what I have. And I'm using a bunch of Iris floss, which is Artiste brand from Hobby Lobby, to stitch on this, because this is another one where I wanted to use up some extra floss that I have that's not DMC. So I just used the, like, if it was pink, I pulled a pink and that kind of thing. So and I have this little bag that I'm storing the floss in. I have a combination of skeins that I pull from, and then bobbins once I pull them. And for these, I just wrap the whole thing like I would do with a DMC skein because it's easy, and keeping them like this makes it so they don't get snagged in the zipper, because I had ones where it was like the floss card, and so it was like a loose string that was like just hanging, and it got caught in the zipper, and I was like, why did I not think that was gonna happen? Because that's like a duh. This is a bag I made. I need to fix the zipper because I didn't do it quite right. But you live, you learn. So, Christmas in London by Mirabilia. I'm using Fiberlicious Starburst 32 count Lugana. And this one is 2 over 2 DMC, even her arm and her face and stuff like that. I was doing 1 over 1, however, the fabric being as colorful as it is, you would think. But right around where her arm and her face were the exact same color as the thread. So doing it 1 over 1 was really making my life more difficult. So I decided, you know what, I'm just going to take it out and do 2 over 2 so I can see the X's better, because it seriously was blending in almost like if you had invisible thread, which I do work with invisible thread when I'm beading, but I can somewhat see that. But with this, it was literally like disappearing. So I had to fix it. So she's much better now. She looks really good. So I started this on May 11th, 2018. The last time I worked on it was June 10th, 2025. I worked on it for 14 days this year. It has 2,594 stitches in it, and it's at 3.97% done. And that one uses DMC. Okay, this one is a kit, so this one needs a zipper pull. What's up with the plain zipper? So this is a kit by Dimensions. It's done by Daphne Brissonette, and it's called In the Moment. And I'm not using the kit fabric. I'm using Daydream by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And I'm using the Dimensions floss, and I'm doing whatever the kit says, so like 2 strands, 3 strands, 1800 strands, you know, DMC. Or not DMC, Dimensions. We know how Dimensions works. I had it right the first time. Started this on April 4th, 2025. I worked on it. Last time I worked on it was April 5th, 2025. I worked on it for 2 days. This year, I put in 343 stitches, and it's at 1.37% done. And for this one, I'm storing the floss in this bag, and I've got it on a ring, and I labeled the color, yeah, up here. Hey, this is another bag I made. This one was my very first one, and it was the best one I ever made, and then everything else I made was like, I need to fix it. I don't know. So this is Cafe Misto by Fiberlicious. It's 28 count Opal Lugana. This is my Courage pattern that I designed. It's for sale on my Etsy shop, which is Patriotic Stitcher. And it fits on the top half. So I'm almost done with the word courage, and it says scared shitless. So started the S in shit. For a minute I thought it wasn't lined up, but it is. I started this on August 4th, 2019. The last time I worked on it was July 31st, 2025. I worked on it for 9 days this year. It has 2,373 stitches in it, and it's at 48.55% completed. Apparently I have another extra fabric for one of the advent calendars that I have made a note to myself to stitch the raw edges, because it's gonna fray if I don't. So random things I find in my WIP bin. This is Peacock fabric by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana, and this is the Clouds Factory Epic Storybook Princesses pattern that I need to back up for. I got a nice custom cut fabric from Fiberlicious, and I started in the middle at the top, and I worked down. I am almost done with Pocahontas. Aladdin is finished. The castle is finished. And the flourishes are finished above Aladdin up until the page break. So give me a minute, I'll fold this and then I'll come back with stats. I don't know when I started this. The last time I worked on it was March 31st, 2025. I put in 17 days of stitching on it. So 17 days this year that I worked on it. It has 16,248 stitches. 16,428 stitches in it. It's at 6.40% done. And this one I'm using DMC, and I'm also using some scrap thread that I have. Like in the castle, I used one of the variegated pinks for one of the turrets, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't have a floss and I didn't want to go buy it, so I just replaced it with a pink that I had. And then the flourish, that's between Aladdin and Pocahontas, that's blue and white, is Fiberlicious Moscow. And everything's 2/2 except their faces, which are 1/1. And I did that. The chart didn't do that. This is my last WIP that's in the fabric bin, which will end this portion of the video. This is called Squeeze the Day. It's by Everything Cross Stitch. And it's a 14 count white Verona kitchen towel. And I'm using the floss that came with it. I think it's DMC, is what it said. Yeah, it's DMC floss. There's one floss that I have like a scrap color because I wanted the lemons to be a little more interesting. So I turned one into a lime and I'm going to turn the other one into an orange. So right now I have the lemon is all done and the lime is started. So where is this on my... So I started this on September 15th, 2024. The last time I worked on it was April 3rd, 2025. I worked on it for 8 days this year. I put in 1,271 stitches, so it's at 25.22% done. And it's DMC over 2 strands over 1 square, so yeah. Okay, well, I'm gonna clean up the mess that I made on the floor beneath me, and I'm gonna go for now, but you guys will see me in like 2 seconds because I will have edited the rest of the WIPs that I have onto the end of this video. So I'm not gonna say like my full goodbye, but I am gonna say see you on the next clip. Hi, I'm back with another clip of WIP Parade stuff. So I've got some tubs here. I have 3 of them. So I'm just gonna go through them in no particular order and do what I did for the first half of this video, which is I'll show you them, I'll give you some stats, any stats that I have, and then you'll go from there. So this first project has a loose hair in it. You know, shedding when you have long hair. All the shedding is me. I don't have any pets, so this is Dragon Tears by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And this is America, America. This is by Stony Creek. I'm not going to show you the, like, finished cover project because I have a lot to do, and it's going to take a while for me to get everything, so I'm just going to show you the project. So this is what I have. I started this on July 3rd, 2024. The last time I worked on it was June 19th, 2025. I worked on it for 6 days this year. It has 901 stitches in it, and it's at 7.3% complete. And I'm using DMC and DMC Diamond. This one is Coffee Break by Soda Stitch. And if I have a digital finished photo, I will put that in. But if I have a physical one and I didn't get it, I'm not going to get it. So I'm doing this on Buttercream by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. Oh, in America, I'm doing 2/2. So this one looks like this, and I started in the middle, and I'm using DMC, and it's 2/2. And I don't have any stats in my main sheet right now for this, so I will just show you. And this one is Cocktails, and it's a Sex on the Beach recipe, and it's by Pinoy Stitch, and I'm using 28 count even weave from MCG Textiles, which is no longer in business. This fabric I dyed myself. I guess it wants to unfold, so I'll just let it. But I don't have any stats in my sheet right now. So it's the recipe. I have it all backstitched, and I'm filling in the drink. There's a picture of the drink, and then there was another pattern called Cocktails that was all pink. So I started charting those around the recipe, so I'm gonna do that for, it's 2 patterns combined together that I did myself, because yeah, they're separate when you buy them. This one is Skyline Temperature. This is by Zara Design Studio on Etsy. I'm using Molten Magic by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And the Cocktails, I'm using DMC, and I'm doing 2/2. This one takes up part of the fabric, so I'm gonna have some left over on this side because this is the edge here. This is the edge of the pattern, so. I started this on January 1st, 2025. The last time I worked on it was July 22nd, 2025. I worked on it for 35 days this year. I put in 4,137 stitches, and it's at 9.84% done. So I did January and February. This is March, so I'm gonna have to get temperatures. Like, I recorded a few of the temperatures from like March through like June or August, but then I stopped. So I'm gonna have to get that if I want to finish this. And that's DMC 2/2 with backstitch. This next one is Castle Homecoming Club by Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, and I'm using Eucalyptus Showers by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And this, I used some of this Alpaca 18 by Rainbow Gallery. Yeah. And some classic Colorworks. And then the rest is DMC. And I did use some DMC Diamond in here, so there's like metallics in here. So I started this on May 23rd, 2023. The last time I worked on it was July 29th, 2025. And I worked on it for 33 days this year. It has 8,513 stitches in it, and it's at 30.79% done. And this is done 2/2, except for their faces, I did 1/1. And it's not charted that way, I just did that myself, so. And I always say that just in case people want to buy the pattern, but they're like, I really hate doing 1/1. Do I have to do that? No, you don't. And even if a pattern had it charted 1/1, you wouldn't have to do, you could do 2/2 as well. But just for information's sake, I thought I would say that. All of the frosted pumpkin things are 2/2, so you don't have to do the little thing that I do. So this one is Secret Slice Society, also by Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. I do not have stats for this, so I'm doing this on gingerbread by Picture This Plus. It's 28 count Lugana, and this one uses DMC and some Weeks Dye Works. And I'm doing 2/2 except for their faces, which I'm doing 1/1, so. And this one I messed up something around like the red towards the bottom with the white, but I think I just eliminated some of the stitches so that it would work, because I don't think it messes it up too much, so I just left it. And looking at it, I don't know exactly where I messed up, so it's probably fine. But anyway, I have this. This one is Lighthouse by Jan Lynn. I'm using Pressed Petals by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And I'm doing this 2/2 with DMC. I started this on June 29th, 2025. No, January 29th, 2025. The last time I worked on it was May 4th, 2025. I worked on it for 5 days this year, and I put in 607 stitches. So it's at 21.22% done. This next one is Halloween Pumpkins. This is by Peacock and Fig. And I'm using Persephone by Fiberlicious. It's 28 count Opal Lugana. And I have this. And I started this on February 26, 2025. The last time I worked on it was July 23rd, 2025. I worked on it for 4 days this year. It has 377 stitches in it, and it's at 5.98% done. This one is Summer Sampler by Cooler Design Studio. And I am using Ocean Mist by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. Oh, the Halloween pumpkins, I'm using DMC 2/2. This is, I started this on November 30th, 2024. The last time I worked on it was May 20th, 2025. I worked on it for 6 days this year. It has 1,457 stitches in it, and it's at 3.87% done. And I'm using DMC 2/2. This one is Super Secret Boy Band. This is by Circus Stitches on Etsy. I'm using Chocolate by Fiberlicious. It's 28 count Opal Lugana. And this is 2/2 with DMC. And I started this on May 30th, 2019. The last time I worked on it was May 14th, 2025. I worked on it for 3 days this year. I put in 3,456 stitches. It's at 64.06% done. This one is Christmas Red Wine. This is by Cross Stitch M, I think, on Etsy. But the shop name that sent me the pattern was called Piccola Parigi. So I'm using Magnolia Magic by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And this is DMC 2/2. And I started it on December 11th, 2024. The last time I worked on it was April 23rd, 2025. I worked on it for 4 days this year. I put in 923 stitches and it's at 4.00% complete. This pattern is called Shih Tzu. I'm using Plum Blossoms by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana and it's 2/2. And I think it's by Cross Stitch My Heart on Etsy. And that's what I have. And I don't have any stats for it. This one is Captain America Holding a Flag, and it's by Vicky Cialp on Etsy. I'm using Thundercloud by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And the Shih Tzu I'm doing DMC 2/2. And this one I'm also doing DMC 2/2. I don't have any stats for it, so okay, this tub is done. Okay, second tub. This is Patrick Bateman. This is on vintage, or not vintage. This is on Water Sapphire, 25 count, Lugana. And I'm doing this 2/1 full cross. And this one has a lot of parked threads on it. He fits on half. I started this on May 1st, 2024. The last time I worked on it was May 4th, 2025. I worked on it for 15 days this year. I put in 1,830 stitches. It's at 4.09% done. This is Mucha Inspired Pocahontas. I'm using Maldivian Dreams by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. I don't know when I started this. The last time I worked on it was July 26, 2025. I worked on it for 8 days this year. I put in 4,666 stitches and it's at 7.45%. This uses DMC and I'm doing it 2/2 and then also 1/1. Both full cross. And the pattern doesn't call for 1/1. But the pattern is also unavailable right now, so because the Etsy shop closed. And the Patrick Bateman one, also the Etsy shop closed. This one is My Savior's Words. This is by Imaginating. I'm using Memories in the Rain by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And have this. I started this on July 22nd, 2024. The last time I worked on it was July 25th, 2025. I put in 18. I worked on this for 18 days this year. I put in 6,036 stitches. It's at 24.44% done. I think it's more like 50% done because the top half is all done. This next one is Super Villain, How to Spot a Super Villain. Oh, I have the photo in here, so here, How to Spot a Supervillain. It's by Pyro Dog Pins. This was in a magazine, Mr. X Stitch Heroes and Villains magazine. I'm using Wicked Night by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. Oh, this I'm using DMC and also some other random scrap floss I have, and it's 2/2 and then backstitch. This one is DMC and it's 2/2 full cross. I started this on August 8th, 2023. The last time I worked on it was May 17th, 2025. I worked on it for 6 days this year. I put in 1,452 stitches and it's at 9.92% done. This is K is for Night by Stitchy Box. I'm using Do You See What I See by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And I'm using a bunch of Classic Colorworks and DMC. And it's a small pattern, so it's going to fit on half of this. And I started this on June 12th, 2025, and last day that I worked on it was June 12th, 2025. So I worked on it for 1 day this year. I put in 104 stitches and it's at 5.90% done. doing it 2/2. This is Gryffindor Crest by Little Mojo. And I'm using Storm Chaser by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. I'm using DMC 2/2. And I started this on March 25th, 2019. The last time I worked on it was May 25th, 2025. I worked on it for 7 days this year. I put in 17,334 stitches so far. It's at 38.78% done. This one is Stitcher's Saying. This is by Doreen Jones. I'm using Dreaming Blossoms by Fiberlicious. It's 28 count Opal Lugana. And I'm using DMC 2/2. And I started this on May 1st, 2018. The last time I worked on it was April 15th, 2025. I worked on it for 15 days this year. I put in 3,667 stitches and it's at 24.16% done. This next one is Dragon. This is by Author Embroid Design on Etsy. I'm using A Dance of Autumn by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And I'm doing this 2/2 with DMC. I started this on December 27th, 2024. The last time I worked on it was April 2nd, 2024. I worked on it for 9 days this year. I put in 1,664 stitches and it's at 12.02% done. This one is Stanley. This is by somebody out of the Ellen Schinderman. Yes, Ellen Schinderman. And it's in the Heroes and Villains edition of the Mr. X-Stitch magazine. And this is fabric I dyed myself. It's just even weave. And I started this on March 19th, 2025. And the last time I worked on it was April 22nd, 2025. I worked on it for 4 days this year, and I put in 385 stitches, and it's at 4.84% done. And that is the bottom of this tub. Okay, on to tub number 3. So this is Toothless and Light Fury. This is by Cross Stitch Knita on Etsy. And I'm using Moonstone. It's 32 count Jobelin, and it's made by Color and Cotton. This one I'm doing 2/2, full cross. I started this on April 28th, 2019. The last time I worked on it was July 22nd, 2025. I worked on it for 12 days this year. I put in 4,314 stitches and it's at 6.33% done. This is Retro Phone by Maya Stitch on Etsy, and I'm using Cherry Blush by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. I started this on October 1st, and I don't have any other stats on it. Fun fact, started this with Jen the Caffeinated Crafter. I asked her if she wanted to start something in October because both of our birthdays are in October. And she said yes, so she picked a pattern by Maya Stitch because Jen was the one that introduced me to Maya Stitch. So that is the story behind this. Also, hello Jen. This next one is Christmas in the Kitchen. This is by Sue Hillis. I'm using Summer Soiree by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. Oh, Retro Phone, I was using DMC 2/2. And this one I'm also using DMC 2/2. And I started this on July 15th, 2024. The last time I worked on it was May 18th, 2025. I worked on this for 10 days this year. I put in 1,907 stitches and it's at 16.28% done. This is Yoda, Do or Do Not. I'm using Poseidon's Cave by Fiberlicious. It's 28 count Opal Lugana. This is done 2/2 with DMC. I started this on May 18th, 2018. The last time I worked on it was July 25th, 2025. I worked on it for 6 days this year. It has 5,272 stitches in it. It's at 19.01% done. This one is Every Book is a TARDIS by Erica Glover. I'm using Where a Shadow Used to Fall by Fiberlicious. It's 28 count Opal Lugana. This is DMC 2/2, and I think I used one Classic Colorworks, or I will be using, because I had planned on it. I don't know if I actually stitched that part yet or not. I started this on August 23rd, 2024. The last time I worked on it was June 21st, 2025. I worked on it for 5 days this year. It has 778 stitches in it. And it's at 15.56% done. This next one is Punch Today. It's by Stitchspiration, and it's out of the Heroes and Villains edition of the Mr. X Stitch magazine. I am using Neverland by Fiberlicious. It's 28 count Opal Lugana. Good night. I really like how the font looks in the camera. I started this on August 7th, 2024. Nope, that's not right. I don't know when I started this. The last time I worked on it was April 24th, 2025. I worked on it for 7 days this year. I put in 1,308 stitches and it's at 8.11% done. Ever since I started tracking it, because it's more like 50. This is I Wear Black. This is by Nerdy Little Stitcher on Etsy. I am using Castle on the Sky by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. Oh, this is 2/2 with DMC. And this is 2/2 with GMC. And I started this on March 29th, 2025. The last time I worked on it was March 30th, 2025, so I worked on it for 1 day this year. I put in 87 stitches, and it's at 1.07% done. This one is Sherlock and Watson by Fiddlesticks AU on Etsy. I'm using Silver Moon by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. I don't have any stats for this because I didn't work on it this year. But I am using DMC 2/2. This is a free pattern from the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. It's a tiny cupcake. I'm using a Very Periwinter from Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And I'm using scrap floss for this, so there's some Most Sale floss, I think, that I've been using. And I just picked, like, if it was pink, then I used pink. If it was brown, I put brown, so. That's what I have. And I'm gonna make this a snarky dessert, so it's gonna say shut the fuck up cake. Okay, this is Sarcasm by Peacock and Fig. I'm using Alice's Garden by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And the cupcake is 2/2. And this is also 2/2 with DMC and Fiberlicious floss. The variegated colors are Fiberlicious thread. I don't have any stats for this. I'm also recharted a wreath around the words because the Sarcasm pattern had its own wreath that I didn't care for, so I changed it to a wreath that had fruit and berries on it. Because I wanted to stitch fruit and berries rather than flowers, so. And the wreath pattern is from DMC. Okay, that is the bottom of this tub. And it is still early, so I thought I would go through my Monopoly projects. So we'll start off with Captain America. This is a comic burst icon out of a magazine, and I'm using Hidden Treasures by Fiberlicious. It's 28 count Opal Lugana. And this is a very small thing, so I'm putting it on the bottom of that, and it's going to say Dad in the middle. That's the A and the D. This one is 'Tis the Season. And this is done on Peach of My Heart by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And the little thing I just showed you is 2/2 with DMC. This is 2/2 with DMC. And I have this. This is what it looks like. Oh, I didn't check if I had stats for the other one. I did, so let's backtrack here. So this is, I started it on June 4th, 2025. And the last time I worked on it was June 4th, 2025, and I worked on it for 1 day this year. And I put in 279 stitches, and it's at 23.25% done. Okay, this one, 'Tis the Season. I started on May 13th, 2025. The last time I worked on it was July 16th, 2025. I worked on it for 4 days this year. It has 559 stitches in it, and it's at 8.28%. And this one I had worked on in December, so the stats are off, but that doesn't matter. Okay, next I have some of Batman's projects, maybe. His bag seems a little empty because I've been working on a lot of his projects. Yeah, these are... His projects are not in here right now because I think I've been working on all of them for this week's Monopoly, so... Nothing in there for now. So Obi-Wan's projects are pretty full up. So this is Wine and Desserts. This is by Soda Stitch. I'm using Jadeite by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And I'm using 2/2 with DMC. And I have this marked off for another pattern. So I'm just going to do this so I don't accidentally poke myself with pins. I don't know when I started this. The last time I worked on it was April 23rd, 2025. I worked on it for 9 days this year. I put in 1,819 stitches. And I added 8.66% more. This one is Hello Snow. I'm using Garden of Dream by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And this is 2/2 DMC, but it also has quarter stitches and back stitch. I started this on May 14th, 2025. Last time I worked on it was July 29th, 2025. I worked on it for 10 days this year. It has 805 stitches in it, and it's at 20.28% done. And then we have Dress and Purse. This is by Shannon Christine Designs. I'm using Midnight Splendor by Fiberlicious. It's 28 count Opal Lugana. And I'm using DMC 2/2. And this fabric I have used quite a bit. It's a finished project up here and a UFO over here. And apparently I started this on the back of the rest of them, but that is what I have for Dress and Purse. I started this on May 14th, 2025. The last time I worked on it was July 30th, 2025. I worked on it for 4 days this year. It has 200 stitches in it, and it's at 12.50% done. And this is Buzz Lightyear's projects. This one is the North Wind. Don't have any stats for that right now. This is done on Transcendent by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And I am using DMC 2/2. And that's what I have. This is gonna be towards the top half, because the bottom half I can use for something else. This next one is Blackwork Kite. This is 28 count even weave. It's white. And I started this on May 5th, 2025. The last time I worked on it was June 25th, 2025. I worked on it for 6 days this year. I put in 357 stitches and it's at 14.76% done. This one is Jingle Bells. This is by Pickle Barrel Designs and I'm using, what am I using? Oh, Queen Crepe Myrtle by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And the blackwork was DMC 2/2 and then the back stitch. This one is DMC 2/2. And I started this on June 18th, 2025. The last time I worked on it was July 17th, 2025. I worked on it for 3 days this year. It has 290 stitches in it and it's at 5.3%. And this one I also worked on in December, so the stats are not accurate. Okay, those are all the projects in those bags. This next tub that I have is actually going to be for my FlossTube update that I would have already posted. But there are WIPs in here, so I'll just go ahead and go through those. That way I can have all of my WIPs accounted for. So this is Darth Vader. This is by Cross Stitch Bay on Etsy. I'm using Skyfall by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And I'm using DMC 2/2. And I don't have any stats for it, so this is what I have. This one is a Monopoly project that was in Batman's possession, and it's 28 count even weave and it's white, and it's Blackwork Hot Air Balloons by Leslie Tier. I started this on May 22nd, 2025. The last time I worked on it was June 11th, 2025. I worked on it for 3 days this year. I put in 642 stitches and it's at 26.55%. And this is also one that I worked on in December. This is a new start that I have no stats for. So this is done on Burning Woods Crackling Fire. This is Bear with Tools. And it's gonna fit like right up here, so I'm using half of this. And it doesn't look like anything right now, but this is the bear's fur. Like that is his foot. And that's his stomach. This is another one of Batman's Monopoly pieces. This is Driving Sampler. I charted this into one pattern, but I did not design the icons. This is done on Lavender Mist by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And the Bear with Tools is 2/2 DMC. This is also 2/2 DMC. That's what I have. And this, I started this on July 2nd, 2025. The last time I worked on it was July 24th, 2025. I worked on it for 3 days. I put in 428 stitches and it's at 2.85% done. This one is a kit by Design Works. It's called Route 66 Farm Stand. I'm using Secret Garden by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And this is 2/2 with the Design Works thread, but I think it's DMC because the colors match the DMC, so. But on the Floss card, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, so. I started this on May 12th, 2025. The last time I worked on it was June 30th, 2025. I worked on it for 17 days this year. I put in 1,639 stitches and it's at 2.72% done. This is Doreen Jones Advent Calendar Day 15. I'm using This Is My Jam by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count. 28 count Opal Lugana. And it's this one over here. I started this on June 16th, 2020, July 16th, 2025. And my stats are not accurate because there was one night that I decided I wanted to work on this, but I didn't bring my stitch counter because I didn't feel like it, so I will just say that I started it on July 16th, 2025. This is another Monopoly piece that is Captain America's, and I'm using Artiste 18 count Ada by, yeah, it's by Artiste. It's white. Upside down. This is Figgy Pud Jumper. I started this on May 1st, 2025. Last time I worked on it was July 17th, 2025. I worked on it for 8 days this year. I put in 952 stitches and it's at 21.98%. This is Aloe from the Other Side by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. Oh, that one I was doing DMC 2/1 because it's Ada. This is the Medieval Sampler. This is like the driving sampler. I made them all into one pattern, but they're icons that I did not design. And this is another one of Batman's Monopoly pieces. So this is what I have here. I started this on May 29th, 2025. The last time I worked on it was June 25th, 2025. I worked on it for 2 days this year. I put in 249 stitches and it's at 1.78% done. I apparently have 2 more WIPs to show you. So this one is Doreen Jones Advent Calendar. It's one of the days, I don't remember, oh, 14. This is done on Frosty Mint by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana, and I'm using DMC and some scrap floss 2/2. It looks like it's done, but there's 4 stitches I need to do. I need to add in, so it's not done. I started it on June 25th, 2025. The last time I worked on it was July 14th, 2025. I worked on this for 3 days this year. I put in 856 stitches and it's at 77.82%. And obviously my calculation is off because it's pretty much like 99% done. But that's okay, because that only affects me. So I know if you're like, that doesn't look right, that's okay. Don't worry about it. This is my last WIP I have to show you. This is by Puntini Puntini, and it is called Craft Supplies and Other Lies. This is done on Glowing Dreams by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. I have no stats for this. I am doing this DMC 2/2. And that is it. Those are all of my WIPs. I'm gonna have a lot of editing to do, so thank you everybody for watching, liking, subscribing, and commenting, and I will see you on the next video. Bye!